And on today's show, why the Rhinebeck Fund is a unique option for the life settlement market. Part 5 of this week's series on life settlements with life settlement experts Erez Rotem and Alex Sorokin of Integrity Life Solutions, LLC. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician in Innsbruck. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome, gentlemen, to day 5. Man, 5 days. Are you guys surviving?
So far, so good.
Well, let's talk about your fund. I mean, we've been talking about the generic market, the reintroducing everybody into the life settlement market. Not only is it not dead, it's alive, and we need inventory.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about, because when I talked to you first, Erez, I remember you were saying, I said, I'm looking for these multi-million-dollar face amounts. And you said, no, I'm not. And I was kind of surprised. So walk me through the fund and what's really attractive to you when you built this.
Well, in 2010, 2011, Steve, we decided to switch sides. We've been brokers for 10, 12 years now, and we're still active as brokers, and that's fine. But we also developed in 2011, we developed a private equity fund. We're attracting private capital from accredited, wealthy investors. We don't take institutional money. It provides us with greater flexibility, being private and dealing with wealthy individuals. We set our own rules. We can look at any policies we like. We can look at IULs, we can look at term, we can look at any age. You could be, naturally we have our own standards with respect to LE, life expectancy, typically 10 years or less. But the focus of our fund has been, and one of the largest funds, but the focus of our fund to get the best, sort of biggest bang for our dollar has been focused on small face. I would say under $1 million. There's so many reasons why, and I won't go into it, but there's a lot of reasons why we like small face policies. And we'll go, frankly, very low. No one, I don't think we've heard of anyone going as low as $10,000 in face amount. Very, very possible with our fund.
That's the lowest watermark number I've heard in a long time.
Listen, it doesn't thrill us, but we think that with, taking the lower ones, we'll get some larger policies as well. And, we make quick decisions. You're looking at the two managers here. There are other partners involved, but we're the two managers. We make decisions quickly, and they are firm.
So when you developed this, I like this idea. You said, you go from brokers to funders. What's the transition like that for you guys?
The transition was difficult in one sense because it required a lot of thinking. We developed this from scratch. It took us a year of thinking, putting together multiple business plans. But now we're at a point we're very happy with our business plan, our model. Like I said, small face, any type of policy goes. We have learned from mistakes in the past, especially the mistakes that were made by prior funders before the economic recession, when the double whammy hit, when life expectancies went up and asset values thereby went down. And then you also lost the liquidity. The banking sector fell apart in 2008, 2009. So there was lots of a lack of liquidity in our market, and many funds went under and out because they didn't prepare for liquidity properly. What our fund has decided to do is learn from that mistake. We ask investors to pay according to capital calls over a period of time, and we prepare liquidity based upon our needs, based upon being wrong about life expectancy. We don't intend to be wrong. But you never know. So our liquidity profiles relate to being 30% off. So if our case is at 6-year life expectancy, we have funded that for 8 years.
Now, in that, you remarked, you said you saw a lot of companies actually go to the wayside because they had liquidity issues.
Right.
So to me, that's a huge, I love the idea that you guys are thinking ahead, especially because now you're a funder, you're on the other side of the equation. You have to protect the investor's interest in this. Erez, you've been in this business a long time, more from a life insurance underwriting point of view. When you're looking at these cases for this fund, we talked all week about what we're looking for in the general market. But do you have specific things that are, and I don't want you to give away your secret sauce, I'm just saying, but that you're looking for this specific fund?
Right. So I mentioned before about comorbidities, meaning people have more than one issue. We have doctors who consult for us, and that's what we use for our life expectancy, our own doctors, plus we use the regular life expectancy models as our guide. So our doctors really love comorbidities. If you have multiple issues, We love that. That's our sweet spot. More than 2 issues, that's going to be the policies that we usually pick up. And
Okay, so based on what Alex just said, so if my fund is topping out at $1 million, which is not a high number.
Right.
So if I'm looking at low face amounts and I'm looking at a person that has multiple impairments, that's a target area, and then we'll figure out, hey, is it going to be within our confines of our 10-year period?
Right.
I mean, that's what we're looking for to see if it qualifies for it.
Right.
What we're going to do is we're going to put on where you can go to their website, and you can look at that website right now, and just if you want to write to them about any of the information we're talking about specific to their fund, please feel free to do so. Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. When we come back, we're going to let Alex go to the board and walk us through some of the basic ideas on compensation. Back in the day, life insurance professionals were called field underwriters. Then, carriers trained their field force in the basics of life insurance underwriting. Today, the insurance industry doesn't educate the agent population as they once did. But now you can have the Informed Risk Guide at your fingertips so you can illustrate a reasonable rate class for your life insurance prospects. Just request your copy of the Informed Risk Guide at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. It's free from Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Welcome back to the second segment. Alex is going to walk us through the mechanics of a single case and actually explain the compensations and how it works.
Well, Steve, as we were talking about before, really compensation is not regulated so much by states or by regulatory authorities. Really, it's the provider, and we talked about the provider on the prior slides in the prior segment. Here we have basically some calculations that I wanted to present in relation to what the maximum allowable compensation that a provider will allow in a transaction. Now, keep in mind, all of these things are not hard and fast rules. Providers certainly do cut exceptions from time to time, but generally the rule of thumb is, and here's the rule, the maximum compensation that a provider will allow will be the lesser of 6% of the face or 30% of the gross offer. So here we have an example. F is for face, and we have $1 million in face amount. And if you take 6% times the $1 million, you have $60,000. The gross offer on this imaginary case is $300,000. Just took that out of thin air. And the provider's general rule is maximum 30% of the gross offer. 30% of $300,000 is $90,000. Remember, I said it's the lesser of. So what's the lesser between 60 and 90? 60,000 in this case would be the maximum compensation that would be allowed. This compensation, keep in mind, is the broker's compensation, which is split between broker and advisor. That's really an explanation.
Okay, now, and in this, I just make sure that I understand, you're saying that generally it's a rule of thumb. It's not hard and fast, but basically you're looking at 6% of the face is a rule of thumb.
And some providers will go up to 8%. And honestly, we've seen providers cut exceptions in our life in the broker world. We've seen providers cut exceptions, and it really depends on, I guess, how badly they want the case.
Could that exception also be initiated because maybe the cash values exceed the actual offer? In other words, he's not going to sell if he can surrender his cash values for more.
Well,
would he bump up the offer to accommodate that? If he thought it was worth it?
I think, Steve, that's a separate issue. I mean, I think it begs the question, are you going to make an offer that is less than the cash value? No, if you have a cash value that is in excess of this gross offer becomes meaningless.
Right. Now, in this example, when we're looking at this and using this as a rule of thumb, does it matter if it's term? Doesn't matter if it's permanent. It just is a basic formula based on face amount only.
This is basic formula based on face amount and gross offer, and they look at the two, and they like to keep it to a minimum. And I suppose this is in the provider's mind is basically so that there is legitimacy to the market, because maybe you're not aware, I'm sure you're aware, but maybe some out in the audience are not aware. This business used to be a little bit of the Wild West. And agents would make claims and would really probably give a bad name to our industry, where we're really trying to do a service as well for the client. And if agents are getting paid too much, then the industry is looked upon with a little bit of a frown.
Well, thanks, Alex. This really sets up a kind of a rule of thumb for us to look at as an agent when we're talking with our clients and we're looking at inventory. Because again, remember, Alex and Erez have both told us that the inventory right now is very low. So this could be a huge opportunity, not only for you, but for your clients to really look and leverage their life insurance in their portfolio and really get some cash, which a lot of people right now need. Well, that's all the time we have for our show today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance department. Missed an episode? You can view any of our past episodes at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. And remember, you could be wiser as an Ash Brokerage advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you next week.